Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is event tracking in Google Tag Manager, and we will explore some advanced features. So, event tracking is not basically just creating our Google Analytics tags, but it is more about how messages queue in data layer and how it works with GTM. Also, how it feeds information into triggering mechanisms of GTM. So, we have this data model where data layer interacts with Google Tag Manager's data structure. So this is how it works. And for this, we have the two topics. First is how dataLayer.push works, and the other is how to use auto events tracking. We basically divided this video into two halves for so that the video doesn't get very long and it gets boring. Okay, so in this video we'll only cover the first portion, that is how data layer.push works. So the question arises, what is data layer? As we've discussed in previous videos, data layer is a global data structure in JavaScript. Okay, this is what the technical definition says, but if you google it, the definition is more of data layer is a JavaScript object that is used to pass information from your website to your tag manager. Okay, so this is a very basic information definition which we have seen in previous videos. But going further, we will see that data structure is a data layer is a global data structure. And what do I mean by global? Is that it is acceptable in every JavaScript, like JavaScript in any browser. Okay, JavaScript running in GTM or running outside of GTM. And but yeah, it has some issues with iframes. We will not talk about it. So Java's okay. So this is the syntax of data layer. We have seen this syntax previously also. So here, this window, it is a global prefix that we should always use while working with the data layer and the later data layer, as we know. So data layer dot push. So as we all know, dot push are array methods. So data layer is an array with list type data structure in JavaScript. As we know, JavaScript have different data types. So it is a list type data structure of array in JavaScript, and it holds value in key value pair. As we can see, we have event and event as a key, and then its value. Custom event, we have key, and then it's some values. Okay, so we always keep values in key pair. Further, we have push method in JavaScript to in data layer to communicate with the GTM, and it is said that it should be the only method for communication, as other methods may interrupt with our internal coding, and it may create problem for further. Like what GTM container does is GTM container overrides, like how it works. Okay, so that things come like how this sets or gives data to our GTM. So GTM container overrides the data layer's data that it pushes. Data layer, it is basically data layer dot push method. So GTM overrides this method and attaches its own little data or little push listener, okay, into it. Like if it send data from here, from data layer dot push. So what our GTM will do is it will override it, and it will create its own push listener and store data. Okay, it basically copies everything into the array and translate them into its own data structure. Okay, we will let's see it practically. It sounds confusing. Okay, so we have our Google Tag Manager here. Yeah, and we have opened our debug mode, and this is our site. We have gone to the console. So let's write data layer here. So we have four values here, and indexing is 0 1 2 3. As we know, array does reverse indexing from 0. So we have total 4 elements here. So let's do, okay, dataLayer.push. So let us push user ID here, and let's give it to 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, it is true. And let's check our data layer. So now our data layer contains 5 elements. Let's go to our debug mode. We have this new message here, and if we go to data layer, we have, see, we have a user ID here. In user ID we have 1 2 3 4. Okay, now let us add one more user ID, 000, say 111. Okay, so let's check our data layer. We have 6 values currently, and in our debug we have one more message alert. And just look here, we have our user ID got changed from 1234 to 0000111. Okay, so by this it is clearly defined that GTM's data layer variable does not have memory. It only accesses the recent value for any key. Okay, so we do not see the older user ID here. It got just replaced by the new ID. Okay, and we have discussed one point here, that it copies everything into an array. So let's see that also. Like if I do like window dot data layer dot pop, and this method is for deleting the most recent element entered. So let's try it out. Okay, so our latest user ID has been removed. Let us do it one more time. So our previous user ID is also removed, and if we see, the elements are back to 4 again. Okay, so does it change anything in our debug mode? No, we have we still have our user IDs. So this is what GTM does, is you can only communicate through, you can only communicate with data layer into GTM with the push method only, and other methods won't work. Also, it, as I've said, it uses its own push listener, and it stores data from the data layer and store it in its own way. So it copies all the array data and it stores, and it, as we can see, we still have this data out here. So this is it for this video, and we'll continue this video, and I will attach the link in the description. Thank you.